Show. Thankful Thursdays is what's happening tonight, and we are thankful for you joining us for another night on the Revelation Talk Show. As always, we're hoping and praying that you are receiving what is necessary for you on your journey by watching this talk show and watching this show on the Elvin VN Network, where we plan to provide only what God will have us say unto you and to help you move forward. Doll is the sponsor. The sponsor is the revelation of what you need and the strength to push it forward. So tonight we're going to talk about time out. We're going to talk about time out, and it's time out because you've been timed out. It's been timed out. This thing, this event, this person, this relationship, times have shifted for you. Times have shifted for me. Things have changed in our lives. Some things we want to change and some things we just don't like. And so sometimes we get burnt out. We get burnt out and we get stressed out because of the things that happen to us and the things that happen around us and the things that happen in our lives that we can't control. Some of them we can control and they still happen. However, the time may be time in passing. The time may be time in now. The time may be something that happened in your past. Whatever that time is, the time has passed, right? And so as time goes on, because time continues, whether we want it to continue or not, time moves, time shifts, time never stands still for us. Many times we get stressed and oftentimes we find ourselves wondering what happened to that time, that was a good time in our lives. I didn't have enough time in my life to do something that I wanted to do. And so as time goes on, we get stressed and we get boggled down, and things that can all happen in a split second. There are so many things that can happen in a split second, and that piled on to the before, or that piled on to the things that we have in our head, plus what we have to do in the now, plus where we want to go in the future, can cause us to have emotional blackout. Okay? Revelation Talk Show is not for you to feel stressed or feel depressed. It's not a show of depression. It's a show of inspiration. It's a show of motivation. It's a talk between us and you, and God pouring through me so that I can say something that can help you move forward, or I can say something that will give you a positive lift, or I can say something, or he can speak through me to reveal to you what is actually going on with you, what's actually going on around you. Your purpose is bigger than you. And if we never understand what's going on with us, if we never allow the big reveal, as I call it, to come and to manifest and to get in our spirits and to shift us, to help us through the process of growth, we stay stagnant. And so tonight, the time out is because something in your life has timed out. And you have received emotional baggage because either something's not there that you want to be there, or it's there and it should have been gone a long time ago, or you feel something's coming and you just don't know what it is. But you can feel the need. You can feel the weight. You can feel whatever it is that God is shifting you to do, but you're not sure. And being uncertain cause emotional blackouts sometimes. It causes us to our brains to be overwhelmed with things, and it causes us to feel like we can't go on because there's just so much going on in our hearts and in our minds that we feel like we just need an emotional break, that burnout, that blackout, where we can't see anything, where everything looks dark, nothing that we thought was going our way or nothing that we thought was going to move forward is working for us. It seems like sometimes it's gone the opposite way, when in actuality, it's timed out. It's out of season or coming into season, or the season is now and you know that it's not going to continue. So even in times like that, we get boggled down and we get emotionally depressed. And then comes the emotional blackout. I looked up the definition of blackout. What does it mean to have a blackout? What does it mean to be in a blackout? When we think of black, we think of dark. We think of not being able to see. We think of burnt out. We think of just sadness and depression. Listen, the Oxford Dictionary tells us that the definition is cause the lights in a place to be extinguished, typically as a result of failure in the electric supply. What does our body do, you all? What does our body do? Our body moves, and our body, we got all these things tingling inside of us. We got all these things going on inside of us. We got all of these things that move and that we can feel moving and working in our lives and working around us. And when we're alive, when things are going the way that we want them to go, we feel so energetic inside, like everything's working together, and tinglies and the happiness and the movement. We can feel everything going on. But in a blackout, we feel extinguished. We feel like a failure, like there's nothing moving, there's nothing shifting. And that's what this actual worldly definition of blackout says. It says it calls the lights in a place to be extinguished, meaning your light is totally off or extinguished. You can look at extinguished as a verb actually being in action, actually happening right now. You can look at extinguished as something in the past that has happened. It didn't say extinguishing, it said extinguished. So when we look at something in a blackout, think about it. All of these things that's going on in your life, the way that it's making you feel inside is that there's nothing moving. There's no electricity burning inside of you. There's no lights on, which means you're walking around in a dim place. You're walking around as if you can't think. You're walking around as if you can't see. You're walking around with the power off. You're walking around with the electric supply for this live tonight. For this show tonight, we're looking at the electric supply as being the energy source inside of us. The energy source inside of us. What's actually going on and taking place inside of us. These are things that we can't see. We can't see what's happening inside, right? So the electric supply is being extinguished. There's no connection to the electric supply, and it makes you feel like you're in a blackout. You're in a blackout at that point. You ever seen a fire extinguished? Do you remember when we used to go outside and we used to play and they used to turn the fire? I used to live in a place where you go outside when we were young, they used to turn the fire extinguishers on in Washington, D.C. And we as kids used to run around and play in the water. But the power, the pressure from the extinguisher was powerful. So if you stood right there at the hole that the water comes out, it pushes you forward a little bit because there's so much pressure being extinguished from that hose that it moves you about, and it moves you far sometimes, and it moves you fast sometimes. Have you ever seen a fire extinguished? I'm trying to think if I've ever seen an actual fire put out. I have not seen an actual fire put out. But what I have seen with my own eyes is when the fire is there and they come and the fire department and firefighters jump off the truck and they get this hose, and they take this hose and they connect the hose to the fire. I can't even tell you what the name of the thing is that sits outside where the fire comes out of, but they connect it to the fire hydrant. It produces so much power, and as they turn it and turn it and turn it, it releases more pressure and it pushes that water out of that fire hydrant. Have you ever seen them put a fire out and how it takes so much pressure to put that water comes out? You have to make sure the pressure is right so that it knocks it out. Takes the fire completely out. That's what our trials and tribulations and issues and trying to keep things in a certain space and trying to keep things that have passed in a certain time, things that have been timed out, and trying to keep things from happening that are in a time of our lives that we may have to go through or to endure to be better, or trying to work to keep a time in our life when this was there, but it was no good for us. Or that was there when we should have moved on. Or a time when God is trying to pull things in and trying to shift us to something different. But when we're trying to control the timing, what happens is we become emotionally blacked out. Can you imagine the hose on that fire? That water pressure that's coming out of there is just like these problems and these things that get in our heads. And all of the time we pick up one thing, then here comes another thing. Then we're worried about another thing. And then another thing comes. And then we have to worry about another thing. Then we need to complete something. But in order to complete something, we have to have something. And something else has to be brought in and mixed together and pushed out. We become blacked out. All of those things is your extinguisher. All of those things have extinguished your fire, has extinguished your burn to persevere. It has extinguished your resilience. It has extinguished your thought process of who you are, whose you are, what you need to do to keep going, what your purpose is, what your goals are. And because of the pressure of those things, it has knocked you out. It has knocked you down. It has pushed you farther out from the holes that you need. It has diminished your electric supply, and now nothing inside of you is working. You can't see anything. You don't want to do anything. You can't make it move. You can't make it happen. And you don't understand why. The why is because it's too much. It's too much. It's too much for you. And some of you, just like I've said in the past, this is just too much for me. Lord, take this away from me. But he tried. He may have tried in this time that was timed out. You're scared to move. You're scared to shift. You're scared of the unknown. You're scared of what was. You're scared of what's coming. You don't know what's happening. And that's because there's a season of time out. There's a season of time in. There's a season of having things. There's a season of people. There's a season of jobs. There's a season of education. There's a season of death. There's a season for everything. And that is the word. But we don't want to accept those seasons, so we don't take the time out. We don't want to have that time out because we don't realize during that time out that something is timed out. The time has shifted and it's over. We cause our emotional blackout. And one thing that we have to worry about and think about in this revealed season of our lives is that some of us, some of it plays a part. We play a part in the things that happen to us. Somehow we play a part. And even in that part, whether good or bad, whatever you consider your part to be, whatever it is that God reveals to you, it does not have to mean that you did something wrong. It just means that his timing is what is going to control your future. What we think our future is may not be what it is. What we think our system is setting up to do is actually setting up to do something else. The burn, the fire, the desire, the blackout, the extinguishing of your thoughts, The extinguishing of your needs that you thought you needed. The extinguishing of those people. The extinguishing of the things that you're trying to hold on to when that time is over is causing you more stress. It's causing you to be extinguished in the blackout. So now your juices aren't flowing. Your vision is blurred. Your time is short. You feel like your time is short. You don't feel like you've accomplished anything. You're beating yourself up because in actuality, you don't want to shift into a new time zone. There are many different time zones in the world. There are people right now ahead of us by hours. There are people right now behind us by hours. Some of the things and places where you're supposed to go and you're supposed to move forward, you're trying to drag everybody forward with you. And they're in a different time zone. I've heard several times this week that sometimes you have to go alone. Your entire journey is not meant for everybody to travel it with you. You're going to feel deserted, rejected, abandoned, and alone. But again, if you stay there, you can't shift to a different time zone that God is trying to shift you in because he had to shake you up so that he can bring the other people, the other things, the other purpose, the bigger vision, the instructions in this time. My message today to you tonight is about the time out that timed out. The time out is because that time has timed out. I don't know what your time out is. It could be even you within self feeling a certain way. That can be timed out. There's no longer, God is saying, no, I'm tired of you feeling depressed. So now that time is over for you. So I need you to come out of it, and you just don't understand why you're feeling the way you're feeling, and you're continuously letting yourself feel that way, and you're becoming blacked out. You don't have no vision, no purpose, no movement. Nothing's moving together because you have now decided, I want to stay in this time, or I want to bring this with me, or I don't want to go into where I see I'm going. That can be a good thing or a bad thing, but when God is in control, wherever he's trying to take you is better than where you are now. The time out, because it's timed out. And so tonight, again, the Oxford Dictionary says the blackout means it caused the lights in a place to be extinguished. In a place. Right here in your heart. In your heart. To be extinguished. You can't see any good. You can't see a smile. You can't see a way out. You can't see light on the other end of the tunnel. You can't see that. You're being extinguished because you're holding on to a timeout that is timed out. This time is over for you. This is not all about relationships. This is not all about ships and people and things, material things. It's also about the spiritual awakening within us. We sometimes want to stay in that time because it feels better when we do. Because when God starts to reveal for you in a time of revelation, you have to deal with some things. So you decide that, it's easier for me to keep this weight on me than to deal with the things that I have coming. At least I know how to deal with this sadness. At least I know how to deal with not having any money. At least I know how to deal with not having to push for anything. At least I have to know how to deal with being alone. I know how to handle that. But what I don't know is where I am at this time. What is the time for me right now? The big reveal is not on our timing. You wake up one morning and you're different. You wake up one morning and you have a new life. You wake up one morning and he's placed things in where you're asking, well, where did you come from? Or where did this come from? Or How did this happen? Or how did I get this? Or you wake up one morning and what was there is gone. Stop holding on to time that has timed out. The big timeout. It's because of the big reveal. He has to reveal to you in his time. And in order to do that, you cannot stay in the same time zone. If I moved from here to Texas right now, there would be a different time zone. The moving is the action. If God was to move me somewhere else right now, I would be in a different time zone. I can't expect the same things to happen. I can't expect that me being ahead of a time zone, they're in a different time zone. When I get there, guess what? They're coming into a time zone that I've already been to. You get it? Time out because it's timed out. Time out because it's timed out. Stop having an emotional blackout and being extinguished because you don't want to have a timeout. You don't want to have a pause. You don't want to have a shift. You don't want to accept what God is actually trying to do or has done. Whether he moves it from your past, whether he's shifting you forward and preparing you for your future, whether you're right now in your current time and he's revealing to you what's next or what happened, time out. It's time for you to pause. It's time for you to allow God to reveal to you what's going on. Nothing that you do can change the timing of God. He has a specific time, people, place, things, everything in your life is designed for his good and for his purpose. I know you don't feel that right now. But I want your light to shine. I want your electricity to flow. I want you to get a new view. We have to get a new view on life. Because if we never look at it like this, if we never look at the pause, the time out, so that we can allow God to do what he's doing and take our hands off of what he's doing, we're going to stay stuck in the struggle. It doesn't matter whether he has to reveal it to you, pull it from you, move it, or explain and show you what just took place. Whatever God is trying to do, it's a reveal. And in the reveal, you got to pause. It's time for a time out. Time out with the whistle if I had one. Time out. Because whatever that time is in your life has timed out. And God is ready to reveal. And it's revealing to you either your next season, what happened in your last season, or structure for your now what. Don't allow yourself to be extinguished, your light to dim, and for you to not see vision anymore. Don't allow your stress, your struggles to continue to let you feel knocked down, weighted down, and just done, wiped out. You are not extinguished. The time is now. Allow God to reveal it to you.
And if you interested in listening and they caring to share, yeah, we let that pass go and pass go like in Monopoly. Still collecting all of this mail, ain't nothing stopping. We destined above, well, like